Alright guys, I'm here today to talk about something that's been brought up a couple times on a couple of movie shows here on YouTube discussing movie news, as well as a couple articles on the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and get through this. The topic is, could we see Stephen Amell as Green Arrow in the future Justice League movie? My simple answer is yes. It's definitely a possibility and it's actually kind of likely that's going to happen. Now, quite a few times, some sources, including AMC Movie Talk and John Campea, have stated that it's not happening, that it's a rumor and it's been snuffed by the studios and the actors. Actually, that's false. It has not been snuffed by the studio or by the actors. While nothing actually has been confirmed as of yet as to if the universes will be shared among Arrow and as well as the new CW's Flash series, they've not actually officially stated that they are separate. Regardless of how much everybody wants to stand behind that they are, and they've stated it, there's actually never been anything stated that they are separate at this point in time. Actually, I have multiple reasons to believe that they probably will go with the route of the shared universe, and I actually believe it might have already been planned to do that, at least to some extent, as well as a couple rebuttals to some things that people have been stating as to why they believe that the two universes are not connected. First, I'm going to start with the newest argument that actually I just heard today that people have used as to why they are separate universes and why it doesn't even make sense as to why this is even an argument. A lot of people are saying Stephen Amell cannot play Oliver Queen because of his age. With the new Fox show Gotham being in the same timeline and Bruce Wayne only being 12 years old in that show, it would mean Oliver would be way too old by the time Bruce became Batman, and thus for even older when they're portraying a late 40s Batman in Man of Steel 2. Okay, if they were remotely the same universes, I would say, yeah, that's entirely possible. That would make a lot of sense. But the key word in everybody's thing is they're going off that new Fox show Gotham that's being made, and it has nothing to do with Justice League. Justice League and everything involved with that, with Man of Steel and Man of Steel 2, all those rights are still owned by Warner Brothers. Fox's Gotham show has nothing to do with that universe whatsoever. The Fox chairman, Kevin Riley, has even stated that it's a completely different dimension or universe. Batman is not even in this universe. It's the story of Jim Gordon and 12-year-old Bruce Wayne, as well as a couple other characters that are later in the universe as adults. But the name Batman actually never comes up. Batman is not actually even in it. I'm pretty sure Fox worked out a deal with Warner Brothers in order to be able to use those characters that they are using. But I highly doubt Warner Brothers is even ever going to allow another studio like Fox to use the name Batman. While they've got that character locked down on contract, they're probably going to keep it. So the whole age disparity is based on two separate universes. It bears no foundation on whether or not Stephen Amell's Arrow will play a part to the older Batman or have anything to do with the show Gotham at all. Now, here are some of the reasons I actually believe they are going to be a shared universe. Number one being the pattern of how they've casted and the characters that are going to appear in Man of Steel 2, as well as characters that are going to appear in Arrow. First character that they've casted Ben Affleck as Batman, and they wanted an older Batman. When they asked, why did you cast Ben Affleck, they said one of the reasons they give is they did want an older Batman, one that had already been around for a little while. Right now you might be asking, well, what's that got to do with Arrow? What's that got to do with Stephen Amell? Well, not long after the casting of Ben Affleck as Batman, there were two rumors that broke right around the same time as each other. But nobody else really compared the two rumors to being connected. And that was the casting of Nightwing. It was rumored that Nightwing was going to be in Man of Steel 2 there for a little bit, which made sense having an older Batman who had already had a Robin. They had already had their little split, and now time had gone up, and Nightwing was a character, and Batman was just an older Batman. Well, around that same time, Stephen McQueen tweeted about having a meeting with the Arrow producers and even later tweeted an image of him working out in a Nightwing shirt, quoting, "Nightwing training." And anyway, ever since then, the Man of Steel 2 staff, they had already confirmed that there will be no Nightwing in Man of Steel 2. But at the same time, nobody has turned down these rumors of McQueen being cast as Nightwing in Arrow. And in fact, shortly after the news broke, about halfway through shooting the latest season of Vampire Diaries, which is the show that Stephen McQueen is actually a regular in, he's almost completely absent. He shows up for a couple brief scenes, maybe 3 to 4 episodes apart. So he went from being a character that was one of the main characters to a character that's hardly ever in the show anymore. So it makes sense that they probably did cast Steve McQueen as Nightwing, that he probably is getting ready for the role as Nightwing, in Arrow at least. They've also had several Bloodhaven references in Arrow, including going to Bloodhaven in the first season when I think it was the Triads went after looking for a Deadshot. He was living in Bloodhaven. They actually even shown a sign for it. So they've referenced Bloodhaven. We know that Nightwing is coming, at least in Arrow, and it makes sense. If you're going to have a Nightwing in either one of the universes, and you've got your older Batman, it makes sense that it's a shared universe. It'll also free up a lot more material if they do have Nightwing in Arrow to have it be a shared universe, because it allows them to actually be able to say the name Batman and to go back through at least somewhat of Nightwing's story, even if it's just so much as a dialogue and not actually showing Batman. It'll free up a lot of that material to be able to use between the two universes, and give more of a reason for Nightwing showing up in Arrow rather than coming up with a whole other story, which would actually kind of anger fans. Another casting, which is actually the biggest, is Grant Gustin as Barry Allen in The Flash, and also in Arrow. He's got his own series coming to the CW. Now, I know a lot of people said, well, they've had a pilot ordered. It hasn't been official that they're getting a series. They're going to get a series. It's the same guys that are behind Arrow. The Flash is a huge name. Grant Gustin really pulled off Barry Allen in the first episodes that he appeared in The Flash, or not The Flash, but in the Arrow television show, and is also coming back up in episode 20. So it's going to get greenlit. I have no doubt that it's going to get greenlit at all. Now, the reason that I think that means that it's going to be a shared universe is because, for a couple reasons. My first reason that I think it's going to be a shared universe is because they've already casted The Flash. Now, before the first season of Arrow, I wouldn't really cared who they would have casted as Oliver Queen I would have cared, but it wouldn't have been whoever they would have cast. I would have been like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Oliver Queen in Justice League movie. Well, after the first season of Arrow and seeing how well it did and how good a ratings it got, and being signed on to season 2, and season 2 is even better than season 1 was, and that's only halfway through, it would hurt the characters to be recasted. And I think it's the same way not only with Arrow, but with The Flash. Now, when you've got big characters like Barry Allen or The Flash, who is a huge DC hero, and one of the most well-known heroes in their universe, it doesn't make a lot of sense to cast them now and then recast them a year from now, or recast them a year and a half from now. Because that's actually I think, will hurt the franchise or hurt the studio to do it that way. And there's a couple reasons on why I think it would hurt the studio. The first reason is this. Say that the Flash show takes off just as well as the Arrow show's taken off, and it gets a huge fan base. A lot of people like both shows, and they end up recasting the Flash, and they recast Oliver Queen for the Justice League movie, and say, well, it's not going to be a shared universe; it's going to be completely separate. A lot of people are going to go to that movie, and if they're fans of the Flash series, and if they're fans of the Green Arrow show, they're going to see these characters and be a little upset because they've grown accustomed to one set of characters. They've grown accustomed to a set of actors that play these characters and a story behind these characters. They're not going to connect with the characters in the movie as well because of the role they've played on the show. And I think that will hurt a lot of the possibly merchandise that would come off of a movie of those characters, such as like action figures, T-shirts, posters, especially if a lot of people don't, really connect with those characters because they've already attributed them with the characters on the television show. Now, a lot of you would be like, well, these studios make a lot of money. They're not going to sweat it because of a couple, two characters don't do as good on the big screen as they do in their television counterpart. But I disagree because, yeah, they make a lot of money. The movie would still probably be a hit. It would still probably do very well. It wouldn't take a huge hit, but at the same time, I think it would take less of a hit using those same characters. And it's almost like a gamble. I mean, if you can get away without recasting, if you got that possibility of doing that and you've already know you got a fan base on those characters on the television shows, why would you recast them and hope for the best when you've already got a set of established characters? It doesn't make sense to do that. You're pretty much saying, okay, well, I know there's so many millions of you that watch this show and you've grown accustomed to these characters, so we're going to recast them. And even you're still going to see the movie, you're not going to like the movie as much because the characters we've replaced aren't going to be the same characters that you know. So even though you're paying the ticket price as fans, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. And I think enough of that, even if it's a small percentage of a hit that it takes on merchandising, will affect the studio. It just doesn't make sense to do it when you don't have to take that hit. You could just sit there and be like, okay, well, we're going to make it a shared universe. We're going to give you these characters that you already know that you want in the movie, and you're going to get them, and the studio is not going to take a hit on merchandising because they're the same characters that people already know. And on another plus side, if they do put them in the big screen, people that don't watch the Flash television show and don't watch Arrow or might not know those two shows will actually grow accustomed to those characters that way, and then be like, go home and find out they've got their own television shows, and that's going to increase the fan base on the shows as well. So it's a win-win if they just go with those characters. Or say it's the other way around. Say the characters they cast in this movie, it's not so much the fans don't connect with them as these characters. Maybe they do really well as these characters, and they do so good portraying these characters without a lot of backstory, because you can't put a lot of backstory in a 2-hour movie, especially for two separate characters. But say they knock it out of the park and they do a really good job, and those are the characters that get marketed, that's more than likely going to mean that Arrow and the Flash series are going to end up slowly crashing and burning, because people aren't going to associate those characters with the characters in the movie anymore. They're going to associate those characters as being generic, and it's going to cause a lot of people to stop watching it because of that generic feel. They're not going to feel like those are the right characters. They're going to feel like those are the soap opera versions of the characters that were in the movies. So I think either way, Warner Brothers would take a hit. It just makes more sense for them to go ahead and cast the characters they get in these shows and put them in the movie. Now, with Grant Gustin being the Flash, he's still fairly new to the role. I thought he did a really good job playing Barry Allen, so I'm really interested in seeing what he does as the Flash. Right now, it's really too early to tell if he's a character that we would be okay with them replacing, especially if the show doesn't take off very well and his performance isn't very good. But Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen, as Arrow and the Green Arrow, he fits that role perfectly, and the show is a very good show, so it makes more sense having him already have that backstory to put him into the show. You don't have to tell a backstory if you do it that way. You could do kind of like what they did with the Hulk in the Avengers, or do what they did with Hawkeye in the Avengers. He had no backstory whatsoever, and people still love him. So I mean, at least this way, the character in the movie will at least have some form of backstory. And even if they only put it in there as a cameo, just keeping the universes connected and keeping them a shared universe, I think makes more sense. And for a lot of people saying you can't do that, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is my only example that I can say, like right off the top of my head. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. pulls it off. It's not a very good show. I'm not a really big fan of it. Then again, I'm not a huge Marvel fan. I do like Marvel. I like the Avengers. I like some of those movies, but I'm not going to sit and watch the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've watched like 2 or 3 episodes of it. I'm not a big fan of it, but they pull it off, and it has its fan base. So they do it. They make it work. I think it makes it much more interesting if they share the universes with the movies. And as far as everybody saying, or like John Campea on AMC Movie Talk saying, oh, well, no, the actors and everybody, they've already dismissed the fact that they were in talks. 2 weeks ago, there was an interview with Stephen Amell as well as Jason Momoa. The interview's up on ScreenRant.com about the subject, and Stephen's even quoted saying, he said, yes, we've had the discussions, but I think the gestation process for this project is a lot slower than a lot of people think. They haven't even shot the next film yet. They haven't even shot a frame of the movie before the movie everybody thinks is going to be the Justice League movie. So it's not a matter of he's saying, no, I'm not going to be Green Arrow in the Justice League movie. No, it's not going to be a shirt. He's just saying, right now, they're not to that point to start filming that. They're not to the point of casting that yet. So while they've had discussions about it, he even says they've had discussions about it, it's not a for sure thing yet. Just like it's not a for sure thing that it's not going to be that way. So I think with a lot of people that don't think they should have it a shared, or don't believe they're going to have a shared universe, and believe some of the things people have said that it's confirmed, it's not going to be. It's not confirmed. They've never once said it's confirmed that it's not going to be a shared universe, and they've given more and more proof that it will probably be a shared universe, rather than giving us proof that it's not going to be. With the Nightwing thing, bringing up Bloodhaven, them even saying that the Fox Gotham project is not connected to any of that whatsoever, and the fact that they're both CW properties. They're the Justice League, Man of Steel, as well as Arrow. They are all owned by the same studio, so it's very, very possible for them to say, okay, well, guess what? Stephen Amell, during the summer where you're taking a break from doing Arrow, you're going to make a cameo appearance or even be in a few scenes in the Justice League movie. I mean, it's very possible for that to happen, so if anybody's got any questions, go ahead and post them down below. This is my first video I've done in a really long time, so usually my videos are nothing like this. Also, I'll be trying to do some more movie-related news as well as anime-related stuff later in the future, but just let me know what y'all think. Leave your comments and questions down below, and thank you again.